taking the views of Croydon. The backdrop is lit. Today's episode is going to be about planning permission, where I got 2 times 3-bedroom properties through the planning process in Newham, in London. So if you're interested in understanding some hints and tips to help you on your journey through planning, stay tuned, appreciate the trim, and let's go. Yes, people, I just got back down from the roof because I got a call to say that my jumpers and t-shirts are ready. As you can see, self-built by Fenton, official merchandise, out now. Go and buy that. I'm joking. No, these are just for me, for my YouTube videos, because I'm just sick of changing outfits all the time, and I've realized I've got to go and buy loads and loads of clothes if I want to sustain making videos every week. So let's start off with, what is planning permission?
Planning permission, in simple terms, is like asking if you can do a certain piece of building work. It will be granted, possibly subject to certain conditions, or refused.
Now let's understand what the purpose of it is for.
The government has given the main responsibility for planning to local planning authorities. Usually this is the planning department of your local council. Therefore, if you have any queries about a particular case, the first thing to do is to contact your local planning authority.
Now let's look at the implications if you carry out a project that requires planning permission but without permission.
It's your responsibility for seeking or not seeking planning permission. If required, it should be granted before any work begins. Planning breach refers to the failure to obtain or comply with planning permission. This occurs when a development is undertaken without the permission or breaks conditions set by the council. A planning breach is not necessarily illegal, as retrospective applications are often allowed. However, if a previously rejected development is involved or the retrospective application fails, an enforcement notice may be issued by the council.
Let's give you a bit of context. So the original idea came from my sister, and she saw the potential in the house. I think mainly because she saw down the road there was a project going on where they were building 2 houses on a double plot of land as well, although those houses were a bit smaller, and I'll show you a quick video in a second of what they look like, or not a video, a picture of what they look like, so you can see kind of how she was inspired to kind of do a similar thing.
What we see here is the before picture of the properties prior to their development. 2 properties with a side extension on both which are visible, and the yellow rectangles indicate where the individual in this context may have had the vision themselves or sought the expertise of a planner or architect. With a creative approach, they were able to add 2 properties to the road, which the local council is always seeking to do, given the housing shortage in the country. Many boroughs are eager to provide housing for more families, making this a highly sought after opportunity. In my opinion, the properties look great after being transformed into 2 brand new 2-bedroom properties, despite their slender appearance. This is testament to the power of creativity and teamwork. This is the before picture of the property we will be developing, which is a 3-bedroom house with garage. The yellow rectangles indicate where we expect the 2 houses to be built. Although the property originally had 3 bedrooms, the local council does not typically like downsizing the amount of bedrooms and space. However, in our proposal, with the support of our planning consultant and architect, we were able to meet the minimum floor space requirements. We have obtained planning permission to develop a property with a wider stretch of land, which will allow us to utilise the space more effectively. Here is a picture of the proposed afterstate, which resembles a 2-bedroom house from the previous example, demonstrating the potential of taking an idea and raising it, and using something called road precedent, for which I'll explain what it means a little bit later. Success lies in leveraging the creative strengths of your team. In our case, my sister's ingenuity was supplemented by the expertise of multiple architects and a planning consultant, making an informed decision based on your why. And if you haven't watched that video yet, it's season 1, episode 2. So make sure you go and check that out.
And just a quick note that there's something called precedence. So what precedence is essentially seeing what exists currently on the road or within your vicinity, and essentially just doing the same. But there's no guarantee when you take it through planning that you're likely to get it, but it gives you a high likelihood of getting planning if you follow the same precedent that other people have followed on the road. And there is a part B to precedent, is that you can also set precedent on the road and create a new precedent for which, again, people can follow. But obviously, it's more risky. So it's a case of considering maybe submitting something called a pre-planning application. And what that means is that you can sit down with your council before you actually go to submit your planning application. You pay a fee, and then you kind of walk it through with the planning officer, whatever your idea is or whatever your new precedent is on your street, and they kind of give you a kind of feeling as to whether it will go through or not. There's no guarantee, but at least it gives you a way in to speak to planning consultants and actually build your name and make sure that they know who you are, so that when your application does get submitted, hopefully you was a nice person and they might look after you, or they might not. So bear that in mind. So what we started off with was essentially creating a list of architects we would contact to explain our why as to why we wanted to carry out the project, and then see what creative ideas that they could come up with or help us come up with to see what the art of the possible was. Obviously, in the back of our minds, we knew what we wanted to do, but we just wanted to see if there were anything else that potentially we hadn't thought of. And this is where architects are great, because they're very creative people. So they'll always come up with concepts that you'd never even consider. And I found that, it just builds on your own creativity, because some architects, I just want to call it out, one architect, I won't name him, essentially he came up with an idea to build out flats in the back garden, because the garden's quite big, it's about 80 foot, and you could actually fit flats at the bottom of the garden. But this is where we're talking about the creativity of architects and how in some cases, like on a residential street, the likelihood of flats being built in the bottom of the garden and essentially creating a road, which again is feasible, but when you take it into planning, the likelihood of it getting approved is probably very small. But as I said, if you're able to convince the council that it will benefit the area and you do follow all the policies to build new houses on the road, then it could go through. You just don't know. But we didn't want to take that risk. We just wanted to crack on and get something done that we thought would benefit us. So we decided to go ahead with the 2 times 3 bedroom properties.